So one of my favorite songs is War by Zach Callison from his EP, A Picture Perfect Hollywood Heartbreak. So some context about this song. Zach Callison is most known for being an actor. He starred as the titular character in the show Steven Universe, and on the show he had the opportunity to sing and perform music pretty often. And Zach has always wanted to release his own album, but he didn't really know what he wanted to write about. Ultimately, he was inspired by Kendrick Lamar. On some of his albums, Lamar would dive into one issue in his life and then try to flesh it out through the album on just the one topic. Zach wanted to do the same, so he's inspired when he was in high school when he had a breakup with his high school sweetheart, who was also an actor. It was a very nasty breakup. So this EP is about his transition from the person he was when this breakup happened up to the very end, where all he wants to do is declare war against his ex-flame. And War is the final song on this EP. So in an interview I'll link at the end of this video, Zach Callison has many influences. In rap, he was inspired by Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, Tupac, and MF Doom. But he's also inspired by people from the rock genre, groups such as Muse, 21 Pilots, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Stevie Wonder. Let's start off by analyzing the lyrics. So this song is basically a diss track where Zach Callison declares war on his ex-lover, and he calls her out on some things. For example, his ex, who he names Juanita in this song, had been working on an album, and after years of bragging about it, she never released it. Nothing ever happened, so Zach includes the lyrics. We've been waiting on your album for ages, but that's alright, that's okay. You barely wrote them anyway. Half your songs got thrown away, like ballots on voting day. Zach also uses lyrics to describe his new attitude and his new relationship that he has with Juanita, and he does this in the chorus by describing himself and Juanita as being two heathens ruled by demons, and that he'll be damned if he can't finish what he starts. He recognizes the awful people that he and Juanita have become, but feels he has a need to win this war, and uses this song to get revenge. He is also able to keep a war motif consistent throughout the song, frequently using words associated with wars, such as guns, bombs, trenches, napalm, propaganda, and many others. And this song has a very unique sound. It starts off with the guitar playing a droning sound, and then more guitars and drums play in unison. And this gives the song a very aggressive rock sound, and also helps to build up tension in the listener. Then the trumpets kick in, and they play some solos, while the guitar plays a riff that will be repeated throughout various sections of the song. And adding this more jazz style adds great contrast, which helps to carry the energy that has been built up. But then they all back off, and just let the guitars and piano play. This brings the energy down just enough to prepare the listener to what Zach has to say. This intro section knows how to keep the listener's attention, but also sets up specific melodies that will be heard later in various sections. The verses in the song go by very quickly. The guitars continue with the same rhythm and low energy as Zach starts to sing. And then he starts to crescendo into the next verse to build upon the energy, as the lyrics also start becoming more aggressive. And it's subtle, but halfway through the next verse, the trumpets come back, and they play brief staccato note as guitars shift from chord to chord. And then all the instruments stop for a bar, while Zach alone sings. What, you didn't know? The song has been building up energy and tension throughout the verses, and this brief pause leaves the listener in anticipation until the chorus arrives to release all that tension. The chorus incorporates melodies that were established in the intro section. But now there's some feminine voices that join in to harmonize in the background, and it's a really fun section to listen to and groove with. Now leading up to the next section of verses, the guitars and drums play the same transition that they were playing right before the last section of verses. The guitars and drums speed up, while some synthetic percussion noises go on in the background. And this gives the song a slight hip-hop rap sound. And this makes sense, because the second set of verses is more the rap section. The guitars, piano, and drums play the same riffs that they've been playing throughout, but now the trumpets and the synthesizer play back and forth to accent certain musical phrases. It has a really nice funk sound, mixed with the alternative rock sound that has been present throughout. And the bass guitar gets to play a new rhythm as the instruments back off for a few bars, and then come back to give the last verse of this section some extra oomph. This section does an excellent job to have an aggressive sound that complements the diss track elements of the rap. It adds enough new sounds to keep the song interesting, while also keeping elements consistent to make the song still be cohesive by playing those same riffs that were played before. And the final set of verses act as a bridge, before ending on the chorus. Here the guitar is allowed to shine more. The notes are higher pitched, and the type of distortion used allows it to really cut through the rest of the band. The drums are also allowed to shine with a brief solo right before the chorus hits. The main point of this section is to really lighten up the darker sounds, to then start building the tension back up to hit the listener with the final chorus. And it also allows Zach to get his final thoughts out before the song and the LP have to end. And this final chorus is pretty much the same as it was earlier. Just like earlier, it starts to transition. Instead of using that music to transition into verses, it now transitions into the outro. And this outro starts off pretty much the same as the intro, as the guitars and drums play in unison. But now there's some voices over the top of them that are repeating a line. And then once this tiny little section ends, all the instruments and backup vocalists go back to the chorus again. But meanwhile, Zach now belts out an altered version of some lyrics from the bridge section. And then finally he ends the song repeating the girl's name. He starts off at a medium volume, but crescendos to the point where he's screaming at the top of his lungs. And the song ends abruptly, but satisfyingly. In conclusion, War is a very unique song. Zach Callison expertly created a song that is rock at its core, but pulls in sounds and structures from other genres to keep it varied, and have a sound that is unique to him. It is easy for the listener to understand the feelings that he's going through at the end of this transition, and is such a great song that is made even better when listened to in its full context on the LP. I'd recommend that you listen to it. It's called A Picture Perfect Hollywood Heartbreak. And also check out the interview that I mentioned earlier that Zach Callison did with Talk Nerdy with us.